Parties happened here as well, but they weren't just any parties. Here is an excerpt by the famous writer Vincent Voiture, a regular at the Rambouillet Salon, describing one particular evening around 1630. Madame la Princesse, Mademoiselle de Bourbon, Madame du Vigeant, Madame Aubry, Mademoiselle de Rambouillet, Mademoiselle Paulet, Monsieur de Chaudebonne, and I left Paris at 6 o'clock in the evening to go to La Barre, where Madame du Vigeant was to give supper for Madame la Princesse. We entered a room strewn only with roses and orange blossoms. Having admired this magnificence, Madame la Princesse wished to take a turn around the walks before the hour for supper. At the end of a path, stretching as far as the eye could see, we discovered a fountain from which jetted more water than all the fountains of Tivoli. Around it were arranged 24 violinists. On approaching, we discovered in a niche in the wall a Diana. She was about 11 or 12 years old and more beautiful than the forests of Greece and Thessaly had ever seen. In another niche was a nymph pretty enough to belong to her suite. Those who do not believe in fables thought it was Mademoiselle de Bourbon, that is, the daughter of Madame la Princesse, with the maiden Priande, her friend Mademoiselle d'Aubry. No one could utter a word, so great was the admiration at so many things that astounded at once both the eyes and the ears. All of a sudden, the goddess sprang from her niche and began to dance with indescribable grace around the fountain, a dance which lasted for some time. This might have lasted too long had not the violins quickly struck up a saraband so gay that everyone rose as joyfully as if nothing had happened. Thus jumping, tumbling, pirouetting, and capering. We reached the house, where we found a table that could well have been laid by fairies. As we rose from table, the sound of violins called everyone upstairs, where we found a room so well lit that it seemed as though the day, which no longer covered the earth, had entirely taken refuge there. The ball continued most pleasurably, when all at once a great noise from outside brought all the ladies to the window, and we saw rising from the woods some 300 paces from the house such a number of fireworks that it seemed that every branch and tree trunk had become a rocket. In short, it was an existence based on the chaste ecstasy of the senses. Passion was appreciated, but never allowed to cross the line. Love was strictly forbidden in this space. Mme de Rambouillet's own daughter, the famous Julie, whose dancing and wit and conversation made her the most desirable woman in France, despite her bad looks, took this oath so far that her very worthy husband pursued her for almost 2 decades before she finally consented to be his wife, at the tender age of 40. This doesn't sound like a big deal to us today, but she was cutting it pretty close to the average life expectancy, and by 35, a French woman was more likely to be a grandmother than a maiden. But, as mentioned before, the salon culture was not just fun and games. Indeed, one of the Chambre Bleu's most celebrated protégés would go on to quite nearly topple the state. Anne Geneviève de Bourbon-Condé was born in 1619, and like most young girls of her extremely elevated social status, she spent her first 16 years in the company of nuns, who warned her against the evil trappings of social life and courtly pleasure. She was convinced. When she was forced to attend her first ball at 16, the young beauty snuck a hair shirt and wore it between her bodice and her skin. If you're unfamiliar with the hair shirt, it's a shirt made of uncomfortable animal hair that's worn by very pious individuals as an act of penitence, so not typical undergarments for balls.